Hey everyone, Jackson here, and what we're going to be creating today in this tutorial is a reusable and very robust health bar system, health bar system. The health system is going to be contained in a component so that it can be applied to any actor in your game, and then that component will then have health and can be damaged by any damages that you've set up. There's also the option of any object that's being hit to also display a health bar, which is really cool. The system is entirely modular, so like I said, it can be applied to any actor in your game, and it can be reused across projects as well, which is really helpful. It's the health system that I've been using for my games, and I think you'll dig it. So if you want a demonstration of how it looks, just skip to the end of the video and have a look there. But with that said, let's just get started. It might take a little while to do it, so we'll just crack into it. In your content, this is just a third-person template, by the way. In your content browser, go to third-person BP, blueprints, and on your third-person character, just click Control-W and just call this enemy. And this guy is just going to be our basic enemy that we're going to set up the health system on just to test it. So crack that open. In the event graph, I mean, you could probably delete all of this, but I'm just going to leave it there because I don't really care. And now that we've got him, I guess the first thing that we'll do, we'll create the health component. So back in your blueprints tab, actually, sorry, let's go to content actually, and then right click and go new folder, and we're going to call this health system, and crack that open. Right click, go new blueprint class, and we're going to create a actor component. That's the one that we're going to use. And you can see in the description, an actor component is a reusable component that can be added to any actor. So the benefit to doing this and doing the health system in a reusable component is that you can just go ahead and add that component to any actor in the game, and then that will become part of the health system. So I'm going to call this damageable component, because you're going to add this to any actor that can be damageable in your game. So we can delete the begin play and the tick, compile and save. And the first thing that we're going to do in here is we're going to go custom event, and this is going to be called take damage via component. And this event is going to be called by any damages in our game, and it's going to do damage to the actor that is using this component. So compile and save that. We're going to add a couple of variables. So we'll have health, just your typical variables that you'd have in any health system. So we'll have health, duplicate that. We'll also have max health, like that. We're also going to need an owning actor variable, and that type will be of actor object reference. My computer's freaking out. We're still recording. Yep. Unreal's just having a moment. Okay, all good. So we've got our owning actor variable of type actor component of type actor. And the reason that we want that is because this damageable component can be used for any actor, so it doesn't know which actor you're talking about unless you define it in that. It'll all make sense in a minute, but that's all good. So whenever we take damage by this event, there's going to be an input, and that input is going to be the damage amount. So we'll type damage amount of type float. And then what we're going to do is whenever we take damage is we're going to set our health, and the amount that we're going to set it to is going to be float minus a float. The top value is going to be the amount of health that you've already got, and then the bottom value is going to be the amount of damage that we just took. So that'll set our new health. And then what we do off of that, we'll have a branch, and we'll just check float less than or equal to, and we just want to check, is our health less than or equal to 0? If it is less than or equal to 0, we'll kill our player, or kill our actor rather. And if it's not, we'll just carry on doing normal things. So if we do kill it, we'll just say print string, and we'll say dead for now, and we can also say grab your owning actor, hold control and drop it into here to get it, and then off of that we can say destroy actor and hook that up to there. So when our health is less than or equal to 0, we'll destroy the actor. If it's not, maybe what we can just do is we can just have a print string, and we can just say append, and in A we'll say hit, and then in B we'll just hook up, I don't know, the amount of damage for now. We'll tidy this up and we'll make it look really cool with effects and stuff in a minute, but this will do for now. So compile and save. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to have another event up here. So we'll say custom event, and this is going to be called setup damageable component. And this is going to be called by the actor that uses this component. So what we're going to do up here is we'll have owning actor, hold Alt to set, hook that up to there. We'll get max health, put that in there like that, and then we'll have health as well. And we'll connect all of those up like this. And then we're going to add all of these to the event. Just like that. And the reason that we have this event here is because when we're in the enemy blueprint, what we're going to do is we go add component, and we'll say damageable component. So now this guy has the damageable component, but that component doesn't know how much health this enemy has, and etc, etc. So what we do from there is we go control drag and get the damageable component, and we can call that event that we just created setup damageable component, and we'll hook that up into there like that. And now we have the option to set this enemy's particular max health, and so on. So for owning actor, we just say self because that's the owner. And then for max health, we can promote that to a variable here, and we can just call this max health over here. And then health, we might as well just set that to max health as well, so he starts with max health. And then we'll give him, I don't know, just 100 for now as his default max health. So that's all set, that's all good. Now we just need a way to damage him. So we could get a little bit creative with this. So go into third person BP, blueprints, third person character. What we might do here is let's give him a grenade attack real quick. So we'll go custom event. Actually, no, we don't want custom event. We want, I don't know, key E. So whenever you press E, we're going to launch your grenade. So we'll just say spawn actor from class, and what we'll do is we'll quickly create a grenade. So let's go content, health system, and this would be good actually because we'll use the grenade to use this particular damageable component. So the idea of having this component like this is that you could have like a multiple different swords, explosions, and etc, etc, and they'll all reference that one component. It gets really easy to make new weapons and stuff then, and those new weapons will be compatible with the entire system and therefore every actor in the entire world. So you can keep adding weapons and new ways to do damage as you go and develop your game. So we'll go blueprint class, and we'll just call this an actor, and it'll just be, I don't know, grenade. So this will just be very simple. Go add component, static mesh, and we might as well make that the root. And this is just going to be a sphere, material sphere, just like that. He doesn't need a material, but we can give him a material, basic floor, just like that. How big is that actually? That might be too big. Look, that's kind of big, but who really cares? Alright, that's our grenade. He can simulate physics, so he'll bounce around and all of that. And then what we'll do is we'll just say from begin play, we'll have a delay of, I don't know, 5 seconds. And then after 5 seconds, we'll say spawn, not spawn actor, we'll say, actually, you know what? We will say spawn actor, and what we'll do is we'll make another actor called an explosion, because then we can reuse the explosion. So if we right click in here and go blueprint class, new actor, we can call you explosion. And in here we can say particle system. We'll add a particle system, and that particle system will just be the generic P explosion. Boom, just like that. And then for this guy, we'll go add component and we'll say collision, and we'll go sphere collision, and we'll call this explosion overlap, like that. Does that look like a fair size? Maybe a little bit bigger, maybe 60. Actually, we might even make this bigger. Maybe we can make, oh no, that's fine. We'll leave this like this. That looks fair. So if you get overlapped by that volume, that's when you're going to take damage. So in here, begin play, we'll say delay. The explosion should last for like 0.2 of a second, or maybe 0.1 of a second even. And then after that 0.1 of a second, we're going to get our explosion overlap, and we're going to say destroy component. So you'll only take damage when... You'll only take damage if you get caught in that initial blast. Okay, so that should be good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set this up to do damage to the damage component. So now that that explosion overlap is destroyed, click on this, and we'll say add event for explosion overlap, add on component, begin overlap. And now this is where the magic happens. So to do damage to the damage component, the first thing that we want to do is we want to get the actor that was overlapped, and we'll say get component by class. Just like that. And then in the class, we'll type in damageable component, and then off of return value, we're going to type in is valid. So what this is basically doing is if an actor, any actor that overlaps the explosion, is going to be checked if it's damageable, and if it is damageable, then we're going to do damage to that actor. So compile and save. What I might do here is we'll just get this other actor off of there. Actually, no, sorry, we want the component. Now that we've got the damage component, we can type in take damage by a component. Now this here was that event that we set up down in here. So we'll hook that up to valid like that, and now we have the option for a damage amount. So we can promote that to a variable here, and we can call that damage for the explosion. And we'll just default that to say like 40. Okay, beautiful. So now the explosion's doing damage. Now we just need to set up the grenade to actually spawn the explosion. So in class, we'll type in explosion, and transform, we'll say make transform off of that. The location can just be get world's location of the static mesh, and the scale can be like, I don't know, 3 and 3 and 3. So what's happening with the grenade? We're in the grenade blueprint. Begin play, the grenade waits 5 seconds, and then after 5 seconds it spawns an explosion, and then after the explosion is spawned, we're going to say destroy actor self. So the grenade disappears after the explosion spawns. And just for good measure, in the explosion blueprint, let's just say on event begin play, we'll say spawn sound at location, and we'll type in explosion, just your generic explosion like that, and the location can just be get actor location self. Okay, that should all be good. Now we just need to give the player the ability to launch the grenade. So if we go into third person BP, press E, we'll spawn our grenade. In the spawn transform, we'll give our guy a spawn point. So what we'll do is we'll go add component, and we'll type in new scene, and we'll call this spawn point. And then spawn point, we might parent to the follow camera like that, and then bring that out like that, out here somewhere. So what that'll do is, if by parenting it to the follow camera, is when you rotate the mouse, it'll rotate the spawn point of the camera, so you'll be able to aim the grenade with the camera. So go back into your event graph, and now that we've got the spawn point, control drag, and we can say get world transform like that. Hook that up to there, and now fingers crossed this will work and we won't have any problems. So we're in the world, press E, grenade spawns, wait 5 seconds, We could make him throw it. Boom. It explodes like that. That explosion was tiny as hell, so let's make that a bit bigger. So in the grenade, let's change the scale to like 10, 10, and 10. And we might just make it explode a bit quicker as well. Just because that took a bit too long. Oops. Not 205. Be bloody waiting all day. Control save. Alright. Press E. Boom, that's beautiful. Alright, let's see if this actually does some damage. So, where's our enemy? Where did we put him? Go to content, third person BP. Whoops. Blueprints, enemy, drop him in the world. Let's just make him a different color to our guy, just so you can tell them apart. Go to mesh, and then if you go down to the materials down here, we can just make him like this sick thing here like this. Just give that a while for it to compile and whatever. Compile those shaders. That's doing its thing up there. I think we can keep playing while that's... Oh my god, this is taking forever to load now. Oh, I'll just give it a second. I might take a drink. My bloody throat's getting sore. Man, my computer's having a rough time today. Okay. Cool, so he's there. He's doing the thing. So if I walk up to him and then drop a grenade right there in front of his face. Hit 40. See that up there? Now, I believe we gave him 100 health, so if I hit him again, he should still survive. And then if we hit him one more time, he should die. Boom. Easy. Now, just to show you how easy it is to apply this to new stuff. So if we just duplicate this guy, and we'll call you enemy 1. Go in here, just like that. And just let's just say this is something completely different. Like we might just even get rid of his mesh and just add in like a static mesh like that, and we can just make this a cube, and this is just going to be a bloody cube enemy with some pretty colors. No, that didn't really work. Door. Cool. So let's just say this guy was a new enemy, or it could just be a crate that you want to be able to be damaged. So if you go into the construction script of this one now, our new enemy 1, we can change the default health to, I don't know, maybe 40 so it dies in one hit. Drop him in the world like that. Go play. And then if I drop a grenade right there, he should die. And the other guy takes damage. Just like that. And it doesn't need to be just a character as well. Like we can right click in here and we can say blueprint class actor. And we can call you enemy 2. Just completely empty actor. We could just add in a static mesh like this, and then we'll give him an overlap, so we can just say collision, box collision like that. So maybe the static mesh we can use a I don't know, we can just use a cube again. Use a cube, we'll make him smaller this time, so 0.5, and that's his overlap like this. So we can make that, I don't know, maybe 25 by 25 by 25. There we go, dead on. So when that box gets overlapped, this guy will take damage, but we need to set up the component first. So if we go into here and we say damageable component, this is how easy it is to add this damageable component to a new actor. Go in the construction script, drag off, say set up damageable component, and then we can go owning actor, self, max health will promote to a variable, which can be called max health. And then we'll set health to max health like that. And the max health can be, say, 50 for this guy. And then boom, he's set up, ready to be damaged. So we'll just drop him in the world like this. Play. Drop a grenade. They both died that time. I thought I gave him 50 health. Maybe I did that wrong. No, I did give him 50 health. How come he died? Let's try that one more time. It could be because he was overlapped twice. So with this guy, he's only got that collision there. I'm guessing that this So what if I make you the root? Actually, no, sorry, I won't do that. This is block all, and then this is overlap all. Let's try one more time. If this gives us problems, there is one thing that I haven't installed yet that I'll show you how to do. Enemy 2. Your health is 50. I'll just change you to 100 and see what happens. I did do that in the construction script, right? Yeah. Maybe, Okay, now it's still alive. I'm not sure why it died before. Now he's dead, because he had 50 health, I think, or whatever we set it to. And now he's dead after 3 hits. Okay, I wasn't sure what's going on there. It seems to work. So we can delete these guys just for now. The next thing that we can do, let's just close this down. Actually, let's just do the essentials first, and then I can fuck around and add stuff on afterwards. So this is all working. That's all well and good. The next thing that we might do is we might do the health bar. Yeah, let's do the health bar. So we'll go into content, go to health system, and in here what we'll do is we'll go user interface, widget blueprint, and we'll just call you health bar like that. Crack that open. Now in this one, let's just change the size to custom. Make it, I don't know, like 500 by 500. Make it a square. And then in palette, we're going to type in progress bar, and we're going to drop one of those in the widget rather. Anchor that to the center, and then set its offset from the center to 0 and 0 like that. So now that'll be connected right on the corner to there. And then if you go to alignment and type in 0.5 and 0.5, it'll have the center of the progress bar right in the center of the panel. And then what we can do, actually we don't want to anchor that to the center, let's anchor that like this. So it's on either side. Offset left, we can set that to 0, and then offset right, we can set that to 0 as well. And that'll take up the entire 500 just like that. Change the fill color, I guess, to red for health, just like that. And we can set the default percent to, I don't know, 1. Just like that. So that's what the health bar is going to look like, and as you take damage, it'll obviously go down. Cool. I think that's all we need to do here. So now we just need to set up this to be updated within the damage component. So what we can do here is we'll add a new event. Yeah, we'll add a new event down here. Custom event, which can be called update health bar. And we just need to create a health bar variable in here first. So what we do here is we'll say health bar widget like that. And I believe this type will be widget component. I think that's the one we want. And then off of that, we're going to say get user widget object. So this is the component of the widget. And the reason that's a component is because in, say, our enemy tab, as well as this damageable component down there, we need to add the widget, the actual health bar in here, and position it in here. So let's go add component, and we'll say widget, and we'll call you health bar. And then if we go over here where it says widget class, type in health bar just like that. Now this guy's got the health bar. Let's position that so that it looks nice. Maybe this is about 0.3, something like that. That looks pretty good. And then what we want to do is back in our setup over here, grab the health bar, hold Alt to set, hook that up like that, and then hook that up into the setup event, compile and save, and then go back to our enemy, and then in our setup, grab this health bar, control drag, and then hook that up into there like that. So now this component will have a valid value for that health bar component. So from that health bar component, we get the actual widget that's in the component, which was this here, that's the widget, the health bar. And then from that, we're going to say cast to health bar, so that we can get access to the health bar itself. And then off of that, we're going to say get progress bar 56. That was what this default named itself, progress bar 56. And then off of that, we can say set %, just like that. And the % that we're going to set it to whenever we call this update health bar event is going to be float divided by float, and it's just going to be max health on the bottom and health on the top. So if your health is full, the bar will be full. If your health is half of the max health, your bar will be half, and so on, just like that. Now let's add another thing in here. So what we can do, we'll add in a begin play event, and on begin play, we're going to get this health bar widget. Actually, you know what? I don't think this component can actually be set in the construction script like that. Let's just test it and see. On begin play, we're going to set visibility of the health bar to false, just like that. And then copy this. When we update the health bar, we'll set the visibility to true. Then we'll do this whole thing, which we might just collapse to a macro and just say set %, just to keep it neat. Collapsing things to macros and functions and whatnot is a good way to keep your blueprints nice and tidy, especially when they get more complicated. Like, you'll want to minimize the mess and the clutter in your blueprint. So we'll set the visibility to visible, we'll set the %, and then we'll add a delay in here for, like, I don't know, 5 seconds. And then after 5 seconds, if the health bar hasn't been updated, or if you haven't taken any more damage, we'll just set the visibility back to false, like that. And instead of that being a delay, that'll be a re-triggerable delay. So that'll be 5 seconds, just like that. Okay, and then the last thing that we need to do is whenever we take damage, how am I going to make this neat? I don't think it's going to be possible, but I just want to try and get as much of this shit out of the way as I can. In here, we're going to say update health bar. Actually, no, we don't want that there. We want to set the health first, and then we'll say update health bar. Just like that. Okay, now I just changed a lot of stuff at once, so let's see if that works. I don't think it's going to, but we'll just test it anyway. I've got a feeling I know what's wrong if it doesn't work. So we spawn our grenade, and his health bar, did it appear? It did appear, just like that. See that? It hasn't rotated to face us because we need to add that functionality in. But let's go in here. Okay, his health bar is invisible. Beautiful. We'll drop that. He takes damage and his health drops. Now you'll notice that it hit twice that time, and the reason for that is if you go into enemy here and you go to the health bar, if you scroll down, this actually has a collision on it, which is retarded. So I don't know why. Turn that to no collision, compile and save, and now this should only fire once when we drop our grenade on him. Fingers crossed. Beautiful. So that's him taking damage, and then after 5 seconds, his health bar should disappear again, and then if I drop another grenade in, takes more damage. Beautiful. And then what happens if we kill him? Does his health bar disappear? Dead. Sweet. So that actually works. Crazy. Who would have thought? So if we go back into our damageable component, I don't think we need this anymore because that's obviously working, so we can piss that off. We can get rid of that. We got our destroy actor in there as well. This is looking pretty good. I can't believe how little issues we ran into. So the next thing that we need to do though is we want the health bar to face the player, because at the moment, as you saw, we had to walk around to the front to actually be able to see it, because that's how it's set up in here. You can't see it from the back. So to do that, we'll need to use a tick or a really short delay, and it's probably not a good idea to have that running 24/7. So what we'll do is we'll only have that running while the health bar is visible. So in here, off of the health bar update health bar event. We'll have it set the visibility to visible. Then we'll have it set the percent, and then what we might do is we might say set timer by function name, and we'll create a new function which will be called update health bar to face player. Now that is a long ass name, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that and then go into the event graph and then copy that, paste that into the function name there. That needs to be exactly the same as the function in there or it won't work. That's cool. The time we might make you, we'll make you world delta seconds. So that's the delay between each frame rate, I believe, each frame in the game. So the health bar should be updated every frame, and we'll set that to looping like that. Now inside of this function, what we'll need to do here is I think we want to get our health bar widget. We'll control click to get that in there, and we'll say set rotation. I think we'll want world rotation. And off of this, the node that we're going to use is called find lookat rotation. So this will find the rotation that's necessary to get from point A to point B. So point A is going to be the position of the widget. So we'll say get world location for the widget. And then point B is going to be the player character actually. So we'll say get world location target, and we'll type in here, we'll say get player character like that. Okay, we can't get world location, we need to get actor location because that's an actor. And we'll plug that into target like that. And that'll be updating every world delta seconds. And what we might do is we'll just drag this off here and promote that to a variable so we can save a reference to the timer, and we'll call this health bar timer ref. Just like that. I always like to promote things to variables to save the value so I don't have to drag this friggin' node in and connect it to wherever else I'm using it later on. So that's all good like that. Now after the delay is done and we set the visibility back to false, we're going to get this reference here, and we're going to say clear and, if I can spell, clear and invalidate timer by handle. So then what that'll do is when we set the visibility back to false, it'll stop updating this function so that we don't abuse the performance, because if you have a bunch of enemies in the world all updating their health bars, I guess that could be kind of costly. So if we jump in here, no health bar, drop our grenade. Now if we stand in front of him, you can see it, and if we run all the way around, it follows us and updates. That's beautiful. Jumps, it works too. Drop in another bomber thing. That's beautiful. Look at that. Excellent. That's pretty much it, I guess. Like, that's the whole tutorial. What did I say I was going to do? I was going to build a component-based health system and a health bar. So I might just show you how to set all of this up for another actor, just to show you how easy it is to reuse this. We can close down the health bar, that's done. Damageable component, this is working like a dream. Another thing that we could do actually is we might play with the death a little bit. So we could have, so off of this here, this is when your character dies. For example, you could have a spawn. Yeah, so you can watch, you can stop watching the video if you just came for the health system and the health bar, because that's everything, that's fully functional. I'm just going to play around and add a couple more things on here just to, I don't know, have some fun and to show you guys what else you can do. So if we say spawn actor from class here, we can promote this to a variable. Actually, no, let's not do that. So basically what I'm getting at is here's the option to add some loot when your character dies, when an actor dies. So if I drag all of this down, this update health bar event, and off of here, let's say we want, we're going to spawn loot when the character dies. So we can say get copy here, and we can promote this to an array, which we'll call loot classes. And what this is going to be, loot classes, is this is going to be an array containing all of the potential different types of loot that could spawn from this enemy. So what we'll do is we'll say get the last index from that, and then we'll say random integer in range here, and then hook the max of that up to the last index, and then hook the return value up to the get. Now what this is going to do is it's going to get the last entry in loot classes, and then it's going to get a random integer from 0 up to the last value in loot classes, and then it's going to take that, whatever that class is, and then it's going to spawn that actor. So if you in here had, I don't know, like you could have a bunch of different types of loot. Every time one of these enemies dies that uses this health system, you can spawn that particular type of loot, a random class of loot from that array. Now the spawn transform can just be the owning actor get world get actor transform, sorry, just like that. So it'll just spawn where their actor was, just like that. Okay, so we can collapse that to collapse it to a macro, and we'll call this spawn loot, just like that. Now at the moment it doesn't actually have any classes of loot that could possibly be spawned. So what we're going to do is in our health system, let's just create a bunch of different loot. So blueprint class, we can go actor, and we can just call you loot 01, and it can just be something really simple. Like I can't be bothered making it really fancy. We'll just go static mesh like that, and we can make, whoops, what did I just do? Static mesh. Are there triangle meshes in the starter content? Pyramid, yeah, pyramid, that's the one we want. And we'll make you 0.5 like that, or maybe even smaller, 0.3, and we'll have you simulate physics just like that. And we'll make you some fancy loot looking color, something shiny. There we go, a metallic thingamabob. So that's your loot, right? And maybe we can have a child class of this, loot child 01, and then we can have loot child 02, and these can just be exactly the same, but they can just have a different material. I mean, this is obviously not how you design a game. Well, it is how you design it, but you wouldn't obviously have a friggin' grass material for your loot and like a bloody burnished steel. But you get the idea. This is how you could create a loot system. Those objects could be whatever you wanted. So we've got 3 different types of loot. If we go into our enemy blueprint now, in the construction script, before we do that, go to damage component, and back up here in the setup, we'll say loot classes, and we'll hook that up to here like that. Compile and save. And then in enemy, we can drag this off, and we can say loot classes there. And now we can customize the loot that this particular enemy is going to spawn. So we'll add 3 in there, and we can call them, we'll get loot 1, we'll get the other one that we made, and then we'll get the third one that we made. So every time one of these guys is killed now, these dark dudes, by the way, I'm just holding Alt and then dragging one of the axes to duplicate him. Every time one of those guys is killed, oh, we got some enemies. We got some errors rather, and I think I know what that is. That's because we didn't add a pin to the array. Yep, so these guys need loot classes too now. That's fine. Loot classes for you, for enemy 1, and then enemy 2. These are the guys that we made earlier. Because we just added that new variable to the setup damage component, we need to add an array to that pin. And what you'll also notice here is these guys don't have health bars at the moment, and that will probably cause an error. Is that all good? What's this? Note. Who cares? Because these guys don't have a health bar widget associated with them, that'll currently cause an error down here because it won't be able to access that. So what we could do is update health bar before we try and update the health bar, is we can get the health bar widget and we can just say is valid. Oops, wrong one. Is valid, like this. And if you are valid, then go ahead and do all of that. If it's not valid, then don't worry about any of this. So if the enemy doesn't have a health bar, the health bar just won't update. Simple as that. It won't worry about any of that script. Okay, so now if I jump in, this should work, hopefully. We'll drop that grenade in. You guys are all taking damage. Oh my god, I nearly just killed myself. Alright, he's dead. He just dropped one form of loot. That's simulating physics, beautiful. Now let's kill the next guy. He dropped a different form, we got grass on that one. And that one's metal again. And then this guy's some form of grass again. So you can see how that works. They all spawn different random types of loot. Now, just to demonstrate again how easy this is to adapt this damage system to new stuff, if we go into health system and go into loot 1, which was our parent, we could also just go in here and we could say add damageable component to this guy, and then we can set that up like this. Owning actor is self. Max health, let's just make that 40, and health can just be 40. Health bar widget, we won't worry about a health bar. And loot classes, we can just say make array and just leave that empty, I believe. And that shouldn't have any problems. So basically what I've just done is I've made this loot itself actual damageable. So now this loot can also be destroyed by explosions. Let's actually make its health 50 so it doesn't die in one hit. Now we don't want a health bar and we don't want this loot to spawn even more loot when it dies. So if we jump in now and see how those two just needed to be saved, I just quickly hit Control-Shift-S to save it. But because they're children of this, when I updated that, they also needed to be saved. So if we go in here now and we kill these guys and we spawn some loot, so they're all good, they exist. Now if I drop this in here, that loot itself actually got destroyed as well because it's damageable. And you can see how... Oh, we got an error? What's the error? Okay, it tried to read... Oh, I think I know what that is. It tried to read health, probably this one here. So at begin play, we'll say is valid. So because those loots didn't have a health bar defined, we'll need to make sure that we check for is valid at begin play as well. It's exactly the same as what we set up down here. Now what was I talking about before I got distracted? I can't remember. But basically you can see how robust this is, because you can add this damage system to literally anything. Like you could make the friggin' stairs damageable if you wanted. Like you could make this block or these walls damageable. You can make it display a health bar if you want it to have a health bar or not. Yeah, like you can literally make the entire world damageable. And it's super easy to add like new weapons as well. So we had the grenade and we had the explosion. Like we could add in another attack. So if we go like to our player blueprints, third person character, and let's say we had another attack on perhaps our right click like this, right mouse, yeah. So whenever you press the right mouse button, let's say line trace by channel, and the line trace is going to be from our character's, oops, we'll say get the spawn point, get world location. That'll be the start of the trace, and the end of the trace will be that location, the spawn point location, but we'll add another vector, and that vector is going to be, we'll get the forward vector of the spawn point, like that. Now this will be of length 1, facing forwards, so if we times that by a float of say range, I don't know, we'll say we'll give this attack 1000 range, add that into there, and then add that up to the end, like that. It's a bit messy, but you get the idea. Actors to ignore, we'll say make array because we don't want to damage ourselves. Make array like that. Draw debug type. We'll call that for duration, and we'll make the duration, I don't know, 5 seconds. That's fine, and that's all good. This is just a debugging thing, by the way. All of this stuff here. Basically what we're going to do is we're just going to make an attack shoot out of basically this guy's spawn point, which is there. We might make that up near his face so it looks like he's shooting a laser from his eye. It's going to shoot a line out, and then if it hits something, what we'll do is we'll break the hit, we'll get the actor that was hit, and then we'll say get component by class, just like we did for the explosion. Get component by class. The component is the damageable component, so we're checking if this hit actor is damageable. So we'll say valid. So if it has the damageable, if something is hit and if the hit thing has a damageable component, then what we do is we get the component and we'll say take damage via component, and we'll make it take I don't know, 50 damage, just like that. And we might just add a print string off there as well, just to debug this, and we'll say hit with a J, hit. Okay, so that was off the right click. Now let's see if that works. Compile and save, hit begin play, right click, alright, boom, he just shot a laser out of his friggin' face. Cool, man. And now I believe it's not actually out of his face, it's just out of wherever the camera is. So that's not doing any damage to the walls because they don't have any damageable components, but if I were to blast this guy, he's not getting hit, it's going straight through him. And the reason for that, I'm pretty sure, is go back to your enemy and go to mesh. Actually, go to the capsule component rather. No, go to mesh. And then down in the collision where it says character mesh, change that to block all, because I don't think character mesh actually registers the hit. So if I go play, and then we go, boom, check that out. Shot him in the leg and he took 50 damage, hit him again, and he's dead. Just like that. Now you could, oh, I wonder if that'll work for this thing as well. Can I hit it? Yep, killed it. Destroyed that little triangle loot thing. So that's actually cool as. It actually works. Can we go through 2 of them as well? No, it just hit the first one. And it didn't hit the second guy, it's fine. Awesome. Now, I mean, you could make that fancier and you could add like a explosion at like the impact point. Like you could say, instead of having hit, because we know that works, we could say spawn actor from class here, just like that. Actually, you know what would be quite cool is if instead of having him, so I've shown you how to do this. This is one way of doing it. Another way that you could do damage is if you deleted this like that, keep the hit result. So if there's a hit, at the hit, what you could do is you could make a transform and make the transform at the location of the impact point, make the scale 10, 10, and 10, and spawn an explosion. You know how we made that explosion earlier? So at the impact point, it's going to spawn an explosion, and you can let the explosion actually do the damage instead of doing a different type of damage from this blueprint. So just like that, if I go in here, and if I right click, we're spawning explosions wherever that point impacts. Now it didn't hit anything that time, but if it has hit, it's basically like you're shooting a friggin' bullet from your eye. And I can shoot at these guys and do damage to them with the explosions. Jeez, that's satisfying. Cool, man. So that's another way that you could do it. And you can basically see, like, you could create a bunch of different types of attacks and a bunch of different enemies that are all vulnerable and etc. And things can just get so complicated, and like the different attacks will all like add up, and like for example, it can get like very interwoven and systemic. Like if we have our grenade and we could give this a friggin' health system, for example. So what we could do is we could say, we'll add a new custom event here and we'll call this detonate, like that. And what we'll do is we'll move all of this over here down to detonate, and we'll make sure, we might just collapse that like this, and we'll call that explode, and we'll make sure that it can only detonate once, so we'll type in do once like that. And so what we'll do is we'll say for the grenade, begin play, wait 2.5 seconds, and then detonate. But what we could also do is we could also give you a damageable component like that, and we'll set you up in the construction script. So we'll say setup. This is the good thing about having the setup as an event, by the way, because otherwise you'd have to keep coming back and forwards, and you'd need to remember which variables needed to be set. If you create an event in here with every single variable that needs to be set, you can just call that event here, and you instantly know, okay, I need to set all of these for the component to function properly. So earning actor is self. Max health, we can just say, I don't know, let's just say 1. So as soon as it's hit, it's going to explode. Health bar, we don't need a health bar. And for loot classes, make array, but we don't want any loot. Alright, easy. Now, in here, maybe I just did that wrong. I did that wrong, sorry. Don't even worry about having this component. We don't want it to be damageable. What we want it to do instead of being damageable is we just want to give this thing an overlap. So we'll say collision, not capsule collision. We want sphere collision, like that. Go to the viewport, just make that a reasonable size so it matches the grenade, just like that. And then what we'll do is we'll say, with the sphere collision selected up here, we'll say on begin overlap, and so the overlapping actor, if that's equal to an explosion, can I type that in there? Yeah, blueprint class explosion. So if the grenade overlaps another explosion, what we're going to do is we're going to say detonate. So now not only will it detonate 2.5 seconds after begin play, it'll also detonate if it gets hit by another explosion. So it's explosive, like that makes logical sense. So if we jump in here now, oh god, I'm shooting. So we'll drop in a couple of you guys, like that. As soon as one explodes. Did that work properly? I'm not sure. No, it didn't explode. Maybe this didn't work. So maybe what we want here is other actor will say cast to explosion, like that instead. And then if that cast succeeds, then we'll detonate. So if the grenade overlaps an explosion, it'll detonate. Save, play. Boom, it'll explode at once, just like that. So now everything starts to interact. And remember how we set up this thing before, an explosion like that. I could come over to this guy, drop a bunch of those, and then explode him with a shot like that. Cool, man. Alright, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I can't be bothered doing anything else. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them and help you guys out. If you have any requests for other tutorials, drop them below as well as any questions, and I'll try my best to get around to them. Let me know if you guys like this, if you like this style of tutorial. I know that this is really long and I went on a lot of tangents, but I kind of enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I'm not really a fan of the short, concise ones. I like me personally, I like watching how other people use Unreal Engine and the little tips and tricks that they come across and the shortcuts they take and all of that. I feel like that's a lot more valuable to me anyway than the quick little bite-sized tutorials where you learn how to use a single mode and whatever. Like, all that's valuable as well, but I just really enjoyed the style of tutorial. So let me know if you guys enjoyed this. Drop me a like and a comment and all of that, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.